All right. Hey there. Anybody there? All right. How's it going? All right. Welcome, everybody. Hey, here we are again. We are live Thursday night in Juster World 101. Oh. All right. Make sure you, when you join me, make sure you put a comment in and let me know you're there and where you're from. Tell me where you're from. Hey, welcome back. Tamika, hey, welcome back. I remember you from last time. Very good. Tell me where you guys are from. Tell me your state that you're tuning in from. I'd love to find out where you guys are from. I'm in North Carolina, if you guys didn't know already, but the slowest state in the entire country right now for insurance claims. Oh, goodness. Oh, Chicago. Oh, you're getting killed up there. You guys got a lot of stuff going on up there. Indiana and Minnesota, all that area up there. Hey, Will, thanks for joining. Oh, what my thoughts on the upcoming season? Yeah, Will, great. Florida. Oh, man, you got a killer state. I'd love to be in Florida right now, except for the real estate prices. Dallas, Patrick, hey, welcome. Yeah, upcoming season, I think I've heard some recommendations or predictions, what I call it, 23 Dame storms this year, which is a big storm season for typical. So what happens is we have cycles of hurricanes. Typically what I do is I pay attention to weather systems, and pretty mediocre to slow year last year. And so what typically that means is that the following year will be a great year. So that's what I've typically seen is when we have a slow year, we typically ramp up to a pretty big year the next year. So just that's my thoughts on hurricane season. And normally what that means is that we'll get a lot of movement in the Caribbean. And here's the thing that I can tell you that's going on right now. Everything's warming up really fast. And that's a sign of a big hurricane season coming too, is temperatures are hitting records everywhere. Things are, heating up. A lot of the areas that typically are warm or warmer are actually getting above record temperatures already, and it's very early in the season, so that typically tells us there's a big hurricane season coming. So, and welcome to those on my TikTok as well. Trying something out new where I'm streaming both, doing YouTube and TikTok. See if I can grab some other people, maybe on a different platform. So, just you guys have any questions? Yeah, Florida is an awesome state. I was in Jacksonville for a big hurricane years ago and love Jacksonville. It's a great place. Yeah, real estate prices, though, are insane. Absolutely insane. Hey, you know what? Everybody says they go to Florida to retire. Oh, grandma and grandpa aren't going to Florida now. They can't afford to live there. They can afford to sell their place and maybe move somewhere else. But Florida is not the place to go and retire. It's a place to go and be broke right now. No, Chicago, great pizza. Oh my goodness. I lived up in Indiana for a while. We used to go up to Chicago all the time, Tamika, and the best pizza in the world is up there. Whew, deep dish. One slice and you're done. Because the slices are like 2 inches thick. So yeah, great place. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about kind of as you're getting started in adjusting, this is the thing that I'm getting how I kind of, sorry, let me re-get my thoughts here. So based on a week's worth of comments that I'm getting from a lot of people, on the adjuster world. I'm finding a lot of people are just saying, hey, what am I doing for licenses? What should I get for licenses? And, they're saying, hey, can I, if I'm from California, can I get can I get my license somewhere else like Texas or Indiana? So a lot of California questions for some reason. I don't know who's out there from California, but there seems to be a lot of questions from California. But yeah, so typically what I did when I was getting started is I looked for the states that were going to be hit by a hurricane or bad weather. And right now, I mean, Nebraska, you don't need an adjuster license in Nebraska. So that's pretty awesome if you live in Nebraska and you're just killing it right now if you're not being killed already from all the tornadoes. But a great place to live if you want claims. I had somebody reach out today from Tennessee. So they're getting hammered with claims too. So Tennessee is a great state for the mid states. But Oklahoma, I mean, Oklahoma's always going to get tornadoes, lots of wind. Texas, obviously. But it seems like the hurricane or the tornado valley, tornado corridor, as they call it, is kind of just take a line and draw it from Texas and go all the way up to Minnesota, kind of and then widen it out like, I don't know, a couple states wide or a state and a half wide. And you're going to be hitting an area that's going to constantly get some severe weather during the spring, the summer, and probably tone down more towards hurricane season near the latter part of the year, because that's typically hurricane season for everybody else is going to be in your August, September, October timeframes. Is when big storms are going to hit the coastals. So those are going to be the states that I want to make sure that I'm licensed in, so that if I get a call for mid states, that's where I'm going to go. California, for instance, there are some firms that are actually allowing you to work under their licenses to work California claims. But personally, I don't want to go there only because of the fact that, number one, it's extremely expensive for me as an adjuster to go there, find living, a place to live, the expenses of gas, the traffic headache, getting around. There's a lot of factors why I would not go work California. And then, yes, you could probably make a ton of money, but my expenses are going to be super high. So that, to me, I offset that and say, it's probably not a viable expense for me to want to go into. Not to mention, it's going to take me 3 days drive to get there. Now everybody's saying, well, why would you drive? Why wouldn't you just fly? Well, I got ladders. I've got all my tools. You can imagine getting on TSA right now with a bucket of tools and a lot of sharp objects. They're not going to let me carry all that stuff online with TSA. So typically I'm going to have to drive, and that's 3 days drive. And I'm not going to drive 3 days for me just to go to a CAT event. It's just not feasible. I'd be worn out before I got there and good for nothing. So yeah, California is one that I will not do. But as far as the rest of the states go, from Texas, just draw a line around the coast. Whole Gulf, you got all those Gulf states. You got Florida on both sides, obviously. You got two options. You got something that can come from the Caribbean side. You got something that can come from the Gulf side. Then you've got your South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia doesn't have a license. Typically, I don't worry about anything north of that because it's rare that a big hurricane event will happen. Like there is one in New York that occurred, Hurricane Sandy, years ago. Not a state I would want to go work anyways, and New York licenses are extremely hard to get and very difficult to keep as far as just the difficulty of just getting it. And it's not a very pleasant place to work. The parking is horrendous. Think about it. You've got to get to these places, and you've got to park on the streets. No parking on most places. Streets are extremely difficult to get around on. Traffic is horrendous. So try handling a claim when you've got massive other difficulties involved in that. It just makes it a very hard state to work. So personally, I wouldn't be working in New York. I just don't choose to go there. I have Minnesota, I have Indiana licenses, and the reason being is that there's some great wind events that occur. Snow events happen in the wintertime up in Minnesota. So that's a great opportunity for a catastrophe event to go to. Indiana's crazy wind, crazy hail, lots of great opportunity there. So those are the typical states that I would go for. And again, coming back to why I would want to be licensed or where I want to be licensed is you're going to have to, depending on where you live, you're going to have to be licensed in your state first. So First of all, you want to find out if your state is licensable. And NIPR is a great site that will help you find out whether you're licensed or not there. And you type in your state and it'll say, hey, there is not a license or there is a license for this state. If there is a state license, you have to get that first, and then you can apply for Texas, Indiana, Florida, one of those three, in order to be able to reciprocal or basically get free licenses for the rest of the states after that. Indiana is actually the best one to get, the easiest one to get, and does reciprocal to the most states. So personally, I would say skip Texas and just get Indiana, because then you can reciprocal Texas to it, Florida to it, and 30 some other states from Indiana. And Indiana's super fast. They'll get you a license in a couple, 3 weeks. And then it's reciprocal, like I said, to all the other states. And all you have to do is then pay the fees to get a license, and they'll give it to you. So anyway, so that's my thoughts on licensing. So if you guys got any questions, please feel free to ask me those. Let me see if you have any here. The stupid chat thing I never able to figure out. Yes, pizza is awesome, Tamika. I'm going to go there again. I miss it. Iowa. All right. So, guys, if you have any other questions, yeah, certainly don't hesitate to pop those in the notes there. I want to hear what you guys have to say. One of these days, I'm going to be able to figure out how to keep the chat visible all the time. And I did it before and it worked, but for some reason, this very quiet today. Everybody's falling asleep on a Thursday. So, hey, put a 1 in the chat if you are currently an adjuster, or put a 2 in the chat if you are not an adjuster but looking into it. I would like to know that about you guys, just to be able to see who I'm talking with as far as all right, Corey. Hey, Corey, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Dorian. All right, Twin Biddy, how you doing? Sedgwick. No, I have not worked for them, but they have reached out. So they definitely, I heard good things about them. So yeah, definitely would do that. Joe Mustang, welcome. Michael Salmon, very nice. Nice to see you again. Still in insurance. Hey, nothing wrong with insurance. That's a great career, I think. To me, I'll do insurance as long as I can breathe. So Patrick, as a new IA, how long from your first closed claim until the firm is able to pay out? I've heard 4 to 6 weeks. No, definitely not. So so here's the thing. So it all depends on the cycle that you're in on. Okay, so Patrick, this is how it works. Typical firms are going to pay whatever you complete from January 1st. Let's just do January. So from the 1st of the month to the 15th of the month, you're going to get paid on the 28th, 29th, or 30th of the end of the month. So everything is delayed 2 weeks. So whatever you work 2 weeks, you're going to get paid in 2 weeks. And generally speaking, I've seen 1st and 15th, or closest to it, 29th, 30th of the month, roughly, to the 15th, 16th time frame. I've got another firm. It's kind of weird. They pay me on the 8th. So I get their checks on the 8th, and I get theirs on the 29th. So why? I don't know. It's just weird. But they're basically, when I get paid on the 8th, I'm getting paid from the last 2 weeks work, from the last month. So they're about 7 days. They're actually a little quicker. So they're paying about 7 days out. But typically, when you sign a contract with most of the carriers, or not carriers, but most of the firms, they're gonna make you work 2 weeks, and then you'll get paid somewhere in the next 2 weeks for that work that you just completed. So yeah, if you get started and you work your first claim on the 1st of the month, and you never work another claim for the rest of the month, you're not going to see that paycheck until the 29th or 30th, because they're about whatever you've worked in 2 weeks, they'll bill, and then you get paid in a couple weeks. But it works out well, because if you're working constantly, then you're basically getting a check every 2 weeks. It works out pretty good. And if you work for multiple firms, you're getting multiple checks. Best study guide for State Farm's estimatics. So that is a good question because I'm not familiar with all the different programs out there. I would go with Alacrity and actually take their course. They have a property of estimating course, and they also have the auto estimating course. You're welcome, Patrick. And I felt like I was very educated with that course that I took. Now, a couple of 300 was what I guess I paid for each course back then. I think it's probably a lot more now. Obviously, they're charging more for everything. But I think it was money well spent. And the reason being is because Alacrity, well, it was Worley back then, but they were the largest firm in the country, and they still are, I think, as far as I know. I mean, some of the other ones, Eberls is pretty big. Pilot's pretty big. So there are a bunch of other ones. And really, any other courses that you take from those big firms, what they're going to do is they're going to then give you a priority to be potentially deployed with them because you invested in their program. So that's what I really like about Alacrity is that when I got their course, it wasn't too long after that I got deployed with them on a catastrophe. So, and that was a desk adjuster position. So I was very pleased to take a course with one of these big firms, knowing that I was going to get potential work from them. But I would suggest, just looking into all of them and just, playing that card and saying, hey, I want to work with you guys. I really want to find work with you guys. What's your placement like? If I take this course, what are your options of getting me deployed to State Farm if I take your State Farm course? Obviously, the bigger the firm, the more potential you have. Now, understand what the firms are doing. Okay, this is something I learned once I was in the system, is that all these firms are fighting for position to be the best firm with State Farm. So there's 4 positions typically, top 4 or top 10 even. But really, if you're anything below the top 4, then you're probably only getting a few claims here and there, a little scattering. What I mean by that is State Farm, about every quarter, does a review of these firms and says, okay, how is your call time? Like, how is your contact time? How is your turn-in time? How is your file reviewing time? How many mistakes did we find after your file reviewers checked everything? How was your return on the questions that we had regarding a file? So there's tons and tons of things that they're evaluating. The carrier is evaluating to the firm to see if they are a good firm. Now, what happens is every quarter, these firms are being judged and they're getting a ranking. And this is for every carrier. Okay, so this is not just State Farm. This is every single insurance carrier is doing that with the firm. So you might have one firm that's doing absolutely fantastic with State Farm claims, but they're horrible with Progressive or Allstate or whatever. They're just not doing as well on some of them, all depending on who they have on their roster, who's handling those claims. So typically, when you get in with Alacrity, you want to find out, or if you get in with any firm, you want to find out kind of where their ranking is for handling claims for the carriers. And they'll be happy to tell you. They'll say, actually, yeah, just last quarter, we got number 1, or we're number 2. And what that means is that the carrier is going to give a significant bulk of claims to the number 1 carrier, or the number 1 firm that's handling claims. It's doing the best job. It's got the most adjusters handling their claims. Time is perfect. They're, all the different things that they're looking for in a carrier, like in a firm, the carrier is going to be judging for the best. And what they'll do is they'll give maybe 70% of the bulk of their claims to the number 1. And then they'll give 20% to the number 2, and 10% to the number 3, and maybe 5 or 10% to the number 4. And then the guys below that in the 5th to 10th position are barely getting a smidgen of the claims. Now you're thinking, well, that's not a lot of claims, but you got to remember these guys are handling thousands of claims a month, and this could be across the whole country. Okay, so when they get that number 1 position, that's a big deal, and that means that firm is doing a phenomenal job handling claims. And you got to remember, if they get the number 1 position, and they've got 3,000 claims across the country per month coming in from one carrier, then they're going to need more people, adjusters, to handle all those claims. Now, this is across the whole state, like the whole United States. So there might be more in Florida, more in Texas, obviously, whatever the bigger states. But you have to remember, if they're a number one firm, then they are getting a ton of claims, which means if you're on that roster, your chances of getting work are really good. So flip side, if you're on a firm that's not getting a good rating and they're only working with piddly little diddly insurance companies, then your chances of getting work are slim to none, because they've obviously still got a roster, a bunch of people on their roster looking for work. And you got some guys that got 5 or 10 years experience, and you're coming in there with 2 or 3 years experience or less. Your chances of getting work are slim to none on those small firms. So this is why I tell you guys to just apply to all the firms that you can, and go to catadjuster.org, look at the list of firms, look for the most popular, the most talked about firms, and get on all those rosters. There's like 20 or 30 of them that I would get on for sure. Get on to every single one, and then just call the death out of them and say, I want work. I want to be deployed. What do you got? Call them up every week. Do the same thing. Do it every single week until somebody gets tired of you bugging them, and then they'll give you some work. So that's how I got in, and now it's like, great. Now I don't have to worry about work coming in because there's tons of work. So, well, there's not tons of work right now because we're in North Carolina, but generally speaking, there's always lots of work. So Twin, if you're going to work with a big insurance company, it's good to take Xactimate courses to get familiar first. Definitely helped with Xactimate accuracy or estimate accuracy. Yeah, no doubt. Well, I was talking to this before, you guys, is that before you even start applying to these firms and getting on the firms, you want to make sure you're level 1 and level 2 Xactimate certified. You got your resume absolutely flawless. Got every bit of experience that you ever had in anything to do semi-related to office work or computer work or estimating work, construction work, whatever is on your resume, and you are, you're selling yourself to death. Make sure you've got your State Farm certifications. If you want to work for some of the other carriers, you want to work TWIA claims, which is Texas windstorm, you can get that every year. You can't get your flood when you're a brand new adjuster, like a flood certification, but after you've been doing it a little while, you can get your flood certification, work flood claims. So, and then there's Liberty Mutual's got a certification, a couple others do as well. So yeah, it's always good to get those certifications and then make sure you have your licenses. Because you got to remember, if you're selling yourself to this firm and you're saying, I really want to work for you, I think you're an awesome firm, and then here's my credentials, and you got nothing, that firm is going to look at you and go, well, thanks for applying, but we got like 100 other people that got better stuff than you do. So your chances of getting, first priority, or even, somebody to even look at your resume is slim. So definitely, prepare yourself. Just think of this as a skilled position, a job that you want to make sure that you are ready. You're coming forward and you're presenting yourself to these firms and you're telling them, I want to work for you, and this is why. And now you're showing them, hey, I've got 12 licenses or all coastal states. I'm ready for any hurricane you got coming in. I've got Xactimate level 1 and 2 ready to go. I've got my certificate. I even got a steep and tall course, so I don't have to worry about falling off a roof. I've got all my gear, so you could even put something on your resume saying, here's a list of all my gear, ladders, rope and harness, put all your stuff down there, whatever. I mean, you got to sell yourself to the firm in order for them to feel like they want to give you a shot. Because you remember, the most important thing is you are representing that firm to the carrier. And you remember, the relationship between the carrier and the firm is the carrier is always watching the firm to make sure that they are doing a good job. Now, the firm wants to make sure they're always looking great to the carrier, because they don't want to blow it or lose their position in line, because it affects how many claims they get. So they're not going to hire somebody that potentially could affect their relationship with that carrier. So see it as that way. It's a business decision. Why would you hire somebody that's an average employee if you could always look for the best? So we're not employees, but think of it in that respect. That carrier has very high expectations for the firm. So the firm is going to then be doing the same thing for every person that they bring onto their roster. Now, bringing onto their roster means they'll accept anybody on the roster just because they never know if a big event like back, I don't know, 2017, I think it was, there was 3 hurricanes within about 3 months. And they had to hire every single person that was a warm body for an adjuster. These firms did. And they were, oh, it was amazing. What happened was there wasn't enough adjusters to go around. So we had firms calling us up and saying, hey, will you jump ship, come to our firm, and we'll pay you twice as much on the fee schedule. And then the next firm was doing the exact same thing. We'll say, whatever you're getting paid, we'll pay double again. And this was after we already were doubled up on the first one. So anyways, it's a bad business to do that because you can burn some bridges. But what happened was I learned a little trick back in the day that when crazy stuff's happening like that is to say no to deployments on the first run. And it's a risky play. But what happened was I said no, and then I got the second wave of calls where the fee schedule was then doubled. And I again said no. And I said, I don't think the fee's high enough for me. It came back the third time. And they had pretty much tripled, almost quadrupled the fee schedule. And I went ahead and deployed for that. Now, it's interesting because I heard about it later. Some of the guys who got deployed first were really angry because they were working for a quarter of what we were making. And you know, and they complained to the managers and said, it's not fair. We should be making what these other guys are making. And they're like, well, didn't you agree to be deployed for the fee schedule that we told you it was? And they had to say, yeah, well, then be happy with what you got. It's the fact that these guys waited and they were, you know, they took a chance, but they also got rewarded far greater. And that's just, you know, the arrangement we had with them. So that's how it kind of works during a really, really bad storm season is there's not enough adjusters to go around to make everybody happy. And so there's a lot of overlap. So you got to remember, that's why you're applying to 40 different rosters. And so is the next guy. So everybody's on the same rosters for all the top 20 firms hoping to find work. And so there's a lot of overlap there. You just have to remember that. The adjusting world is not a very big society. I was told this over and over again, and it was proven over and over again the longer I worked, because some of the people that I sat next door or next in the cubicle at State Farm when I was a desk adjuster ended up being a manager later on down the road, 4 or 5 years later, for a whole nother firm. And it was interesting because they started seeing some of my files coming in and go, is that Daniel, the guy that I sat next to at State Farm up in Maryland? And I was like, yeah. And he ended up being a desk adjuster first time, and then I caught him in as a manager. But it was hilarious because it was just a small world of knowing that I was sitting next to a guy that ended up being a desk adjuster at another firm and then ended up being a manager at another location as well. So you'll see a lot of people. So you don't want to burn your bridges. You don't want to, treat somebody bad because you never know, they might be your manager or they might be a coworker down the road later on. So, all right. So I'm rambling on. Vivid Clarence, thank you for joining me on TikTok. Appreciate it. Thank you for the likes also. Hey guys, don't forget to hit the like up top. I only have 2 likes. So only 2 people in my YouTube think that I'm worthy of a like. Oh my goodness. Why do I do this? No, I'm just kidding. Come on, hit the likes. Got any other questions? Anybody else? Let's take a look. Oh, thanks, Twin. Appreciate your compliment there. Yeah, learning about this stuff is really good. Okay, Patrick, reading Reddick adjusters. They all say insurance companies are currently moving away from IAs, hiring a lot of staff adjusters. What is the current client? Do you recommend staff or independent? Oh, definitely an independent all the way. There's no doubt. Patrick, I will never, ever change my thought in regards to whether I feel like a staff position is good versus an independent. Yes, they're probably hiring more staff adjusters, absolutely. And that's because they can get them relatively cheap. 50 to 70,000 is probably a very good pay for some of these guys, and that's just not enough for me. But they can get people to do it all every day of the week. So they hire those people because they're cheaper than IAs, and they feel like it's a better investment. Whereas for me, as an independent, I look at it and say, I'm worth more than that. I don't want to sit behind a desk. And I know tons and tons and tons of desk adjusters who are staff, and they are absolutely overworked, pulling their hair out, probably going to have a heart attack before they're 30, if they are that already. But it's extremely stressful because the demands are extremely high. Like, I work for one insurance company, and I can't believe the amount of claims. I'll get 5 to 8 claims in, and they all have the same desk adjuster on it. And I'm sitting there going, that's crazy. These people are getting everything I'm doing, so I can't imagine what they're doing around the rest of the country. So they're just being overworked like crazy. And so then I'm also hearing from the insureds that are saying, I have called my desk adjuster like for 3 weeks straight, and they've never returned my call. And that's the same insurance company. And that's because they got everybody in the world doing the same thing. They're just overworked. So the staff adjusting, yes, it may seem like there's some job stability there. If you're that type of person, then please, please, please go ahead and do that job. If that's you, if you say, hey, I need a 9 to 5, I need a steady paycheck, I need to know what's there every single week. I can't imagine being a week without work. That would be so stressful for me. Then please, yeah, go for that position. Because number one, it's great experience. You're going to get a lot of experience. You'll be able to put that on your resume. And then if you choose later on down the road to go the independent route, then you've got an excellent resume for experience. So yeah, great opportunity. For an independent person, this is going to be somebody who is self-motivated, somebody who is driven, is never happy with status quo, doesn't like working beside people that are just average. Okay, so here, I'm going to give you guys this scenario, okay? And you can apply this to any job you're working in, okay, not just adjusting. So let's say you're working at your job, 9 to 5, and you got your boss in there. He's a pretty good guy, but generally speaking, he sits around the office and lets everybody else do the work. He's not really present all the time. He pops in every once in a while, check how things are going, but typically he's hanging out in the office. And you're like, wow, that guy doesn't do a whole lot for the money he's making. He's making probably twice what I'm making, or third more than I'm making, and he's not doing a whole lot. And I could do his job. Okay, so you got that for your manager. Then you got your coworkers. And you know that everybody's kind of making around the same amount of money. Okay, but you got Mr. Joe Schmo over there, and he happens to be a smoker. And 4 or 5 times a day, he disappears out back, gets his little 15 or 20-minute smoke break, and then comes on back in, reeking like whatever, still hanging around doing about nothing. And you're like, well, I didn't take 4 or 5 breaks today. Maybe he even comes back late for lunch, comes in late in the morning. It's just kind of like this. You're sitting there and you're busting your tail and you're doing a good job. And you're like looking at him going, I bet you he's making the same amount of money or close to the same amount of money I'm making, and yet he's got all these breaks. And he's coming in late. Nobody says anything about it. Maybe he gets a little talking to every once in a while. He falls asleep at his desk, or he falls asleep on the job or whatever, and he's really messy. He doesn't do what he's supposed to be doing. He doesn't follow through with tasks. Those are things that frustrated me when I was an employee, is because I was the opposite. I was the type of person that said, okay, I've got a job to do. I want to figure out how I can do this the most effective way so that I can be efficient at what I do. I can get it done, and I can move on to the next task. And so I was always seeking for an opportunity to become more efficient at something, even if it was taking off 15 minutes or cutting 15 minutes off the day to speed up what I could get done. To get done 15 minutes faster, it would allow me then to do more work the next day. And I was always optimizing, always looking for an opportunity to speed up and do things more efficiently. Well, then when I sat in an employee atmosphere, I was frustrated because I saw these people that were getting away with just literally nothing, and I was busting my tail doing the job. And I brought it up occasionally to managers, and I would say, have you ever monitored this person's job performance? I feel like they're not, you know, they're not at their desk all the time, or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're talking a lot to other people. They're socializing. He's talking on his phone. He's listening to music, whatever. He's doing a lot of stuff that he shouldn't be doing. Have you guys monitored that? Oh, well, you don't worry about him. I'll take care of him. You need to do your job. I was like, yes, I know I'm supposed to do that, but that's your job to monitor that person. And it doesn't look like you're doing your job to monitor that person. So I thought I'd help you out. So I hated that. I hated it. I hated it with a passion, because I was always frustrated that all these people that could do their job, do a quarter of what I was doing, and be paid around roughly the same that I was making. So I'm never going to be a good employee. I just can't do it. I can't be an employee. So on the flip side, as an independent, okay, self-employed, I can search for more work if I'm slow. I can speed up my work and make more money. I can do more work and make more money. I can take off time when I want. So think about it. Unlimited income. And now what I mean by that is truly true. Okay, so if I am a workaholic and I can get my work done and I still have time to do more, I can look for more work. If I want to travel and I want to do catastrophe work, then I just reach out to all the firms that I work for and say, okay, I've changed my mind. I want to go on the road all the time for cat work. Now, in my situation, it's a little different. I've been doing this for 11 years. I could probably get that if I wanted it, just because they know my work ethic, they know my work product, and they'd be happy to help me with that desire. Okay, but as a new adjuster, you may not be able to say that. So just keep that in mind. But as you get more and more experience, your managers will know you. They'll know that you're good. They know that you do exactly what you say, because that's just time. Time passes by. Everybody starts to get an opinion of you, and you prove your worth, and then it works out really well. And that's typically what a self-employed person is going to be like. Is they're going to be learning to become more efficient, because their time is money. Their time is valuable. You don't want to be wasting your money and your time when you're the one making it. You gotta remember, the reason why those employees act like that is they're just wasting somebody else's time, and they don't care. They're not wasting their own money. Now, if you were paying them and saying, okay, you're going to get paid based on your performance, you wait and see how their job performance speeds up if they start getting paid per claim or get paid per task. I've always been a firm believer that that's how the world should be paid, is task-based rather than hourly. That's just me, because that would then absolutely change and revolutionize the world for how much they get done. I mean, think about it. If you're sitting there in a job and the guy says, okay, I'm going to pay you $80,000 a year to do this job. And you go, oh, great. And you just sit back, and no matter how you work or how you do it, you're still going to get paid $80,000 as long as you don't get fired. Okay? But what if I said, you're going to get paid $20,000, and then based on your performance every month, this will determine whether you make $80,000, $90,000, $100,000, $110,000 based on your performance. You think the guy's going to sit back at $20,000 and go, I'm just going to hang out and just enjoy life? No, he is going to be broke. So the work ethic will be based on performance, and that's kind of how I feel like everyone should be paid. And that's employees included. I think you would get an amazing amount of job if you could break everything down to a task-based pay. But that's my little rant. So anyway, if you don't like it, too bad. But that's what I think. All right, let's see. Any other questions? You guys are quiet. Come on. Let me know what you want to know. Do you think we're going to get a hurricane this year? Anybody? You think we're going to be looking for work forever? Yeah, guys, there's lots of work out there. It's just a matter of cycles. I think the weather is a cycle. It certainly changes over the years, and for sure we are going to get some storms. I mean, that's inevitable. We always have them. So this is why it's important, guys, for licensing. You don't want to be behind if we get a hurricane. And thanks, Vivid. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for hitting the likes. Appreciate it very much, guys. Yeah, so if, let's say for instance, you live in Texas. All right, Tamika, let's talk about you. You live in Chicago, okay, and you're a catastrophe adjuster, and you're saying, yeah, I really would like to go on a storm. Okay, what happens if that firm calls you up and says, we just got notice that there is a hurricane coming to Florida, and we wanted to see if you'd be interested in going? And you say, oh, I've been meaning to apply for the Florida license, but I didn't get it. Um, I'm just going to go and apply. That firm right there and then is going to make a decision to not call you again. Okay, because you just let them down. You let them down when they had an opportunity and they wanted you on their roster, and you're not licensed in that state. Now, what you could do, sure, you could apply for that Florida license and hope to goodness it would come in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever time frame before the storm would happen, which normally you're going to be too late. But you could call back that firm and say, oh, I was just talking with Joan, and she said she was wondering if I had a Florida license. I just want to let you know I got approved, and now I have my Florida license. They're going to make a note of it in their system, and that's going to be really good. But more than likely, when that firm is calling you for a job in Florida or getting ready for a hurricane in Florida, that means that thing's hitting within a week or two or less. And they're looking to build their roster so that they can send out the list all at one time when that storm hits. And after 2 days after it's hit and they send you all in, they want to make sure that you're ready to go, not trying to get your license. So licensing is super, super important. Don't wait for the storms to happen. Get the licenses now. All right, a couple other comments here. Hold on. All right, tips for New York license holders. Yeah, Will, if you got a New York license, wonderful. I mean, you could stay and do work, daily claims in New York forever. I mean, there's so many people there. You could stay busy, get on all the rosters, tell them, get your training, get all your certifications if you need it, and just call to every single firm and tell them that you want to do daily claims in New York. It's a highly sought after license, very difficult to get. Once you have it, you're kind of like gold. And you can definitely get a desk adjuster position almost instantly if you have a New York license too. They'll keep you forever. I remember when I was deployed, and they were always asking us to get it because it was highly sought after. Startup costs for an IA, not including training or licenses, IA equipment, first month deployment expenses, etc. All right, Patrick, good question. I would say keep one credit card empty for your expenses. Hopefully you got a $2,000 or $3,000 limit, maybe more. Yeah, your expenses for your hotel, depending on where you stay, could be your primary expense, depending on the state you go to. It could be the really expensive place to get a place to stay. Airbnbs are great options. Hotels, certainly can be an option. You can get a hotel for $90 a day, whatever. Your typical deployments are going to be about 3 weeks. If you're a really good adjuster, you might actually get pulled in, be about a month and a half. You might actually get a double deployment. So you could stay there a month and a half. So your expenses are going to be the gas, obviously, to get to where you're going. Typically, when they assign you claims on these deployments, they're all going to be within the same area. So the coolest thing is they'll drop you 30 claims within about a mile of each other. And so the driving around is not bad at all. The downside is if it's a really bad hit area, you might be living, meaning the first place that you could live could be an hour away. Could be longer. I mean, we had one that was a really bad storm, Hurricane Michael, I think it was. Anyways, down in San Antonio, or I mean, it was Rockport in Texas. I was staying in San Antonio. That was the only hotel that I could get because everybody, you got to remember, all the people that were living in that area, all were destroyed and all moved up north to get into hotels. That meant there was no hotels for adjusters. So we had to keep looking out and out and out. We were 3 hours drive to the catastrophe site to find a place to live. Now, an RV would have been nice, but even then, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have the money for an RV at the time. There just wasn't any places available. So you have to keep that in mind. Depending on how big the storm is and how big the damage area is, hotels might be a scarcity. So you might be paying top dollar for a hotel, driving a lot. Okay, but really your expenses are not too bad. It's going to be eating costs, and you can do a lot of that stuff by just eating at home if you can, eating a hotel, finding a hotel that offers meals, like offers breakfast in the morning. I like the Marriott Residence Inn because they offer breakfast and they offer a dinner, like a little mini dinner, like 3 times a week. So you can save some costs there. They got your washer and dryer on the same floor. Just a lot of great things there. They have laundry service if you needed it. You know, it's just one of those things. Like when you're slam busy and you are, you know, running claims for 16 hours a day during a catastrophe, you don't have time to think about all these things, like eating, cooking meals, and all this other stuff, doing your laundry. So it's nice to have services that are there. The cheaper hotels, find one that's $50, $60 a night, you're not going to have any of those services. And you might have one laundromat, you know, down the street in order to do your laundry, where you're going to have to sit in the building and do your laundry. I mean, that's crazy because that just adds a lot of stress to your life. So anyways, keep things up to that. As far as other expenses, if you get deployed to a desk adjuster position, then you are going to be potentially running into costs of renting month to month somewhere, renting an apartment month to month. They're going to be expensive. You might want to share those expenses with a couple of the guys, a couple of the girls, split the costs. You know, if you buy an Airbnb in a good area, you're going to be paying prime dollars, so you don't really want to do that in a scenario like that. But there are lots of month-to-month rentals in these places where they say State Farm hubs are, is what they call them, where the majority of the State Farm workers work. So they'll have lots of these monthly rentals that you can get into. That's going to be an expense. You're going to pay a little bit more, and then you have all your home expenses too. So this is why you guys want to. I talk about this a lot. Is that if you have really good months of making money, or you're just getting into this, you want to make sure you have a nest egg of cash in order to take care of your bills at home while you're gone. Because remember, you're not home making money, you're away from making money, and then you're also got expenses away from home as well as your home expenses as well. Maybe you have a spouse that works at home. That helps a lot to be able to take care of some of the home expenses. And then you're off with your own expenses, but you're making twice as much money when you're running a catastrophe event. So yeah, there's just things you got to plan. It's very important to plan these things. There's lots of hidden costs. Christiana, welcome. Just seeing you live, trying to get into the field, but I'm wondering what is the best way to do that. It seems like new adjusters only get a job if they have experience. So, Christiana, or Christina, sorry, I'm probably saying your name wrong. There are lots of opportunities for brand new adjusters when a big storm event happens. And these are going to be desk positions. And the reason being is that they want somebody on the phone, okay, to answer the could be 10,000 calls a day that come in from all the people that are filing for claims or questions about their claim or questions about when the money's coming. You know, unbelievable amounts of calls come in, and they need a warm body to answer that call. There are many different skill sets in those types of positions, meaning they have some that are just call phone answerers, literally very little insurance experience. They don't pay as much, but still a great opportunity for someone brand new to get the lingo in your head. You're listening to all the insurance talk, taking claims, taking the cause of loss, the information, writing it all down. Then you have the second layer, which will be people that are actually handling the claims as a desk position. Then you have the field positions, but there's lots and lots of different opportunities for a brand new adjuster. The field positions, I was deployed to a catastrophe that I had never been on a hail event before, never been deployed, and I got deployed. Now, it was total chaos. I mean, absolutely total chaos. I didn't know Xactimate as well as I probably should have because I was under a lot of stress and a lot of time restraints too. So that causes a lot of troubles there. But I was gracious enough to be able to, somebody gave me a chance and I went and did it. But the cool thing about that is there is no grade on that experience, meaning that firm is not telling every other firm how I did when I was on that first deployment. So it's kind of fun because when I got my resume, and I knew I did a terrible job, and I'll tell everybody in the world that I did a terrible job. But what was really cool is I was able to put it on my resume and said, hey, I went to hail claim, this catastrophe in Abilene, Texas. And no one else is going to ask me, well, how did you do? They don't ask you. They just look at the resume. Oh, he's got catastrophe experience. Well, as soon as I was deployed for that one, literally 2 or 3 weeks later, I got deployed to another one. And it's all because I updated my resume. I sent the new resume into all the firms and said, hey, I've got an updated resume. I've been on a catastrophe here. I just want to let you know. And sure enough, they deployed me to another one. So that's how it works. And sometimes you have very little experience, and because your resume was updated, it gives you an opportunity to potentially be deployed again. So it's really a great opportunity. Don't ever be discouraged by new opportunities, because they give new opportunities to everywhere. And here's another thing too, is if it's a really big event, they need everybody. Every single person in the world, whether you got little experience or no experience or tons of experience, they need everybody. And it's a great opportunity to get some work. So don't be discouraged, because there's lots of possibilities. Workers' comp. Yeah, so I was going to say, Vivid, I don't really have any recommendations except for, again, going back to the firms, calling up each one of the firms and saying, hey, do you handle workman's comp? Because I actually had a firm, I did not sign up for workman's comp, but they called me out of the blue and just said, hey, we got a workman's comp claim close by you. Would you like to handle it? Well, I'm an adjuster licensed in that state, and I did it. And I also did a few traffic, what do they call them, inspections, where I actually go out to the intersection, take a bunch of photos, documentations for a wreck that occurred at that intersection, scene investigation, that's what it's called. I'd never done one of those before, and then all of a sudden I kept getting a bunch of them. So they just wanted a bunch of photos, take pictures from every single direction of this traffic circle, and take the street signs, the speed limit signs, the yield signs, the stop signs, whatever. And you just, it was kind of fun. But yeah, you can get, if you tell the person in the deployment office or the firm, say, hey, I'm interested in all of these areas, then if anything comes up and they know where you live and there's something comes up, they may give you a call. So you just have to tell them you're interested and see what happens. Oh, you're in Texas. Very good. Yeah, Xactimate training. I would say I used Adjuster Pro, I think is what I did with my Xactimate training, but really anybody who offers it is skilled enough to get you through it. Look into Lacrity, see if they've got something, because I know they probably have a training too. Lacrity is really the better one. You're welcome, Christina. I love doing these lives. They're kind of fun. As long as you guys keep talking to me and give me something to talk about, I can talk forever. I don't know if you guys knew this, but I can talk 20 minutes on one sentence. So I'm a big talker, and I think that's why everybody likes me, is because I get into people's houses and I start talking to them. And, oh, I'm so sad that the water came out of that toilet, and look at that mess it made on the ceiling. And people are like, oh, that's so nice of him to think so nicely of us, to care about that stain that's on our ceiling. And then I'll go, and did you see any damage on the floor? I don't see any damage. Did you see any damage? No, I didn't. I don't think you did either. Oh, and by the way, did any of your personal belongings get damaged? Oh, they didn't. Oh, well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad they didn't get damaged, because, oh, who wants a damaged, stinky old couch from toilet water? Oh, so those are the things I just love talking. So when I get into these people's houses and I just meet them, and, and I'm trying to let their guard down, I hate to say it, there's lots of prejudice in the South. So when you walk up to somebody's house, they immediately think that they don't like you. So it's your job to immediately change that and just say, hey, so nice to meet you. Thanks for meeting me this morning. And, I know you got a busy schedule and you're trying to get off to work. And they'll go, oh, no, I don't work. I stay home. I'll be telling this to a 60-year-old woman or something. And I'll say, oh, I'm sorry to keep you. You got to get to work, don't you? Oh, no, I don't work. I've been retired for 10 years. I don't need to do anything. Oh, and I go, oh, well, thank you for meeting me. It's been so nice to meet you. Anyway, so I make these people feel so special. And then I'll go, so what are you cooking me for breakfast? I'm hungry. And then they'll look at me like, No, I'm just kidding. And people will offer you coffee, a juice, and can I get you a bottle of water? You look like you're sweating while you're on the roof. And sure, I'll take a bottle of water. Thank you so much. And you just have fun with it. So people are cool. So I can talk about anything, guys. All right. So one of the pain points in working with big firms is the workload and turnover. I feel like they make what is a very interesting career unenjoyable at times. Twin, I would agree with you, and you're probably desk adjusting, I can imagine. You can clarify that whether that's true or not, because that is going to happen every day of the week in desk adjusting, is they are going to push you, make you work as hard as they can for the money. Vivid, what do you feel about getting designations? I'm new and want for let's see, and the want for prior experience is a bit disheartening. Yes, I understand designations. Let's see, you're probably talking about HAG, SHAAG. I would not get that. That's extremely expensive. But certifications or designations also might be your, what is that thing called? I don't even pay attention to them anymore because I don't need them. Anything to do with college, going to the next level of insurance, I don't recommend. There's what is it, CPA or CPPA or something. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, so the designations, if you're looking for an office position, meaning that you want to work in corporate insurance, you want to work in a big, like in the carrier itself, and you want to work as a corporate in the insurance world, then yes, you would need one of those designations, because they're going to be looking at it as basically a college degree in insurance training. Because it's a 4-year, it's enough to be like a 4-year course in insurance. So yeah, if you want to do that, great. Maybe your personality. That's not adjusting in my world. That's going to be more of the corporate side of insurance, risk management. That's great opportunity, long-term career, but again, an employee scenario. So you got to keep that in mind if that's something you want to do for the rest of your life in an employee situation. So just keep that. Oh, commercial. Awesome. Very cool. Yes, I would like to do more commercial too. I think it's a great opportunity to make good money in commercial. We do a lot of bids when we're doing commercial estimating. So a lot of your work is actually, you're not really writing a whole lot of estimates because you're getting bids. So yeah, you meet out there at the job, and maybe it's a flat roof system or it's a big metal roof, whatever. And you talk to the owner and you say to them, hey, you by any chance know who put that roof on? And they'll go, oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, there was this company, whatever. So then you say, okay, well, I would appreciate if you could get me a phone number for them, if you have that, or otherwise I could look it up. And so then what I'll do is I'll get their phone number, give them a call, tell them the address, and say, hey, I've got some metal damage out here on about 3/4 of this roof out here. I was hoping you could come out here and write us a bid to get this thing replaced. Get us an estimate here, what you think this might cost to repair or replace. And if I have the ability in Xactimate to do it, I'll write it. But if it happens to be a really specialty product and it's all cut up, there's tons of, maybe there's some inside damage, there's some truss damage, metal truss damages, all these different things that I'm not familiar with, and also probably don't have the Xactimate line items to write in, then I'm going to get a bid. So for instance, I handled a fire station that got damaged, and we didn't have any line items for the CB radio, or not CB, but the radio system that was here to communicate with the fire station. They also had a commercial alarm system. They had a commercial water system. They had tons of stand-up walls that were obviously prefabricated walls. So all basically what we did is contacted the contractor who built the building, and I called him up and I said, dude, I got a bunch of stuff over here that's damaged. I know you put it in originally. Can you get me a bid on all these items that are damaged? He came back a couple weeks later, gave me estimates for all the stuff. I put it on my Xactimate line item, one line at a time for bid items, turned it in, made a killing on it, didn't hardly do anything. And that was the work. And so commercial works out really well for bid stuff. It just doesn't finish all in one day like a typical residential event does, where I can just knock out an estimate, be done with it, and hardly ever see it again. Commercial takes time. It could be 2 weeks, a month. If you get a big apartment complex, you might be writing 100 of these things if they got hurricane damage. Yeah, there's all sorts of things. Could be a Walmart, could be stuff where you've got to get product inventory for all the stuff that was damaged. I mean, there's tons of stuff in commercial. I don't particularly like it because I'm kind of I like to get things done every day, meaning completion to the day. I don't like things rolling over to the next day. So that's just me personally. I like the fact that I can knock out all my claims in one day and be done, and I don't have to think about them. Things that drag on, and I'm constantly setting calendars and having to recheck and recall and redo these things. Those are not my favorite claims. I'll do them, but it's not my favorite type of claim. So that's just me personally. But there's all sorts of things. You can be a boat estimator. Go down to the coast. You like the beach? Get your certifications for learning how to estimate boats. Okay. Flynn, what's a good job looking and focusing, comparing estimates for property damage, such as water damage, fire, mold, etc.? Good job. Comparative estimates for property damage. Well, I don't know that we do a whole lot of comparative estimates because that's where Xactimate came in and kind of eliminated the need for comparative estimates. Years ago, you get 3 bids and you might have to do that. But nowadays, it's pretty much we write the estimate. We might get one for remediation, might turn in one. But if we're looking at the same damage, like after they've come in, remediation, water damage, this would be toilets, overflows, dishwashers, broken pipes, those types of things. The remediation company has come in and they've cut out everything that's damaged. They've removed the baseboard, they removed the carpet, whatever, the flooring, whatever was damaged. And our job is to write an estimate to put everything back. So if I got to take measure and the remediation company's got to take measure and we measure the same amount of stuff that's out and our numbers are really, really close, then hopefully we would come up with almost an identical estimate. Within probably $1,000 or less of each other. What I typically say is about 10%. You shouldn't be writing an estimate any different than a remediation company for probably 10% difference. And if there's a massive difference, then the desk adjuster is going to get that estimate and then they're going to review it and they're going to go, Daniel, why don't you take a look at this estimate we got from the remediation company and see what some of the differences are. That's an unfortunate job that I get on an occasional basis, not all the time, but that's because we've got a remediation company that's adding a lot of fluff in. And they're always putting high-grade everything, high-grade cabinets, high-grade trim, high-grade paint, 3 coats of paint on everything. Just everything, high-grade flooring and, just bumping up the estimate all over the place. And then, obviously think about it. Overhead and profit is added to an estimate for all the items that qualify for it. So if you've got an inflated estimate, then obviously the overhead and profit is going to be super high, and that's going to jack the price even more. So you might have a $20,000 difference on an estimate, which is absurd. If it's maybe a $30,000 or $40,000 estimate, I shouldn't see $20,000 in difference. So comparative estimating doesn't really exist in this world. As far as us as adjusters, we typically are the end of all ends if we're writing a good estimate. If we're not writing a good estimate, then you're going to see a repetitive pattern where the remediation company is constantly sending you an estimate of saying, hey, you're way off. Well, the best way to learn how to write a great estimate, potentially, if you're not really good at it, is paying attention to those estimates that come in and saying, well, what did they add to the estimate that maybe I missed? Oh, look at that. All those toilet paper holders and towel bars when they're painting walls, and the mirror had to come off, and the light fixture had to come down, and oh yeah, I missed all of those things, and so maybe there was $300 in labor for those items that you didn't have on your estimate that they did. So those are things that I've learned over time to pay attention to and could be the differences between my estimate and their estimate. So now I'm adding those things into my estimate along with all the basics that should be there already. And our estimates are really close. So I don't get a whole lot of kickbacks from these contractors. So that's something that's kind of cool. It's really neat. Hold on, I got something to address over here. All right. All right, guys, make sure you hit the like button. And also, if you look, I think there's even a super chat or super something or another down here. If you guys really like it, you can super like it or super chat the live. It gives me a teeny little gift, but it also helps me in my rankings, which I'm always excited when YouTube puts me in a little higher bracket as far as my rankings go. So not asking for money. I don't want your money. I just want your likes. All right, guys. Come on, don't leave me hanging here. Ask some questions. All right. Vivid, you got anything you want to ask me? Glad that makes sense, Flynn. So how many of you guys would rather do catastrophe work? How about everybody who does catastrophe, who wants to be a catastrophe adjuster, put a 1 in the chat. How about that? And everyone who wants to do field, meaning daily claims, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, so 1 for catastrophe, 2 for field. How about that? All right, 1 catastrophe will. Okay, who else wants to do catastrophe? Put a 1 in the chat if you want to do catastrophe. If you want to do daily claims, put a 2. Okay, Timba? So we got 2 cats, 3 cats. All right, so we got a 1 and a 2 from Christina. Okay, so number 1 for cat work, number 2 for field work. Yeah, Corey, I know you're slow too because you're in North Carolina too. I know. I wish I had 2 to give you. Somebody probably already asked this, but I want to know about experience. How hard is it to get into this? It's not that difficult, mind chore. It really is. Okay, Steve and Corey, definitely daily claims. Yeah, because we're right. We're here. I think Steve. I don't know where Steve. Where are you, Steve? Where are you located, Steve? So mind chore. Yeah, it's obviously it is something that's going to require experience, and so that's what I want to tell you guys. If you want to get into this, you're going to have to get some experience. Okay, you're in North Carolina too. Okay, I didn't know you're over there, Steve. Cool. Yeah, I was wondering who was handling the coast because they don't call me over there. But hey, the guys in North Carolina, Steve and Corey, did you guys see the hailstorm in South North Carolina and in South Carolina, Rock Hill? 4.5-inch hail. That's the size of grapefruit, guys. Okay, grapefruit. Okay, and we didn't get a single call. Not a single call for any of those hail claims. I mean, come on, guys. 4.5-inch hail. You guys see the videos? You guys see the videos of all that hail, all through the back windows, all through every car, totally obliterated. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is it. North Carolina is dead, totally dead. So all I'm doing is water every day. Water claim, water claim, water claim, water claim. So it's like, can I stop doing water claims? I'd like to do a roof. So, all right. So we got people that will do daily, who want to do daily claims, who want people to do catastrophe work. I think personally, yeah, I know it, Corey. I wanted to go so bad too. I even called up my firms and I told them, hey, I'm ready to go. Deploy me. Yes, they are, Steve. I hear every day. I hear it. They're even calling me up and they're saying, dude, is there any work out there? Yeah, where was the tornado, Corey? Was that in North Carolina? But yeah, so I get people that call me up all the time. They're all my roofers friends, and they're like, dude, when are we gonna get some weather? I'm like, I thought you were in charge of that. Because you got to remember, roofers are your friends. Roofers are the guys who are getting your work. So you want to make friends with the roofers and tell them, hey, dude, I'm sitting there on a roof. I'm not getting any work. And I said, dude, go out there and knock on some doors. Go out and knock on some doors and find me some work. And he goes, we're not allowed to knock on doors. That's soliciting. And I said, dude, it's slow. Start knocking on doors. So anyway, so as far as cat work or daily work, I think every one of you should be available for both. And okay, Cleveland and Gaston County. Okay, but tornadoes don't bring a lot of work. They're only small, unless they're big, like the one in Nevada or whatever that one was. Whew, scary one. So yeah, catastrophe and daily work to me go hand in hand. Okay, and earlier on in my career, I had kind of a fuss with one of my managers because he was saying I needed to pick a side. I needed to pick whether I want to do catastrophe for work or pick up whether I want to do daily. And I said, dude, I'm an independent. I can do whatever I want. I can do both. And I said, you just find somebody else to pick up the work when I'm gone. I said, there's probably somebody local that would pick up my work and love it if I was gone on a catastrophe work. And he was like trying to give me this hard time. Well, anyways, he got fired. And they'll find out later he got fired because I complained to my manager or his manager. I said that he was putting a lot of pressure on me to choose a side, treating me like an employee. And I told the guy, I said, I shouldn't feel the pressure. If I decide I want to do catastrophe work for a whole year, I should be able to choose that. And if I choose to then stop doing catastrophe work and only do daily claims, then I should be able to let you know that and say, hey, I'm not doing cat work anymore, I'm doing dailies. I should have that freedom as an independent adjuster. Now, what he was trying to do is he was saying, okay, well, if you choose cat work, when you come back, there's going to be no dailies. We're not going to give you any. I was like, and why would you do that? And he says, because you left, because you choose to go to cat work and you're not dependable as a daily adjuster. And I'm like, okay, so you're blackmailing me and making me stay as a daily adjuster when I wanted to do cat work. And so that was the part that I complained to him about. Is I said, you can't do that. And I said, yes, I understand that the availability for daily claims may not be right away when I get back, because maybe they gave out all my claims to somebody else while I was gone and there wasn't anything new coming in. But when I come back in and I tell you I'm home, then you should be able to, put some of those claims back into my hand. Sure, I understand I might be low, but not just cut me off and say, no, I can't have any. That's just not wrong. So those are part of things you'll learn over time with how people treat you, because you want to find good people to treat you well. Christina, I know you're rubbing this in now. She says, you guys should be here in Texas, LOL. Trust me, I get the weather reports. I get the weather reports every single day from every hailstorm that happens across the United States. And every single day, there's something going on in Texas. Trust me. I hate Texas. No, I'm just kidding. I lived in Texas. I lived in the Sugar Land area for 5.5 years. And not as a full-time adjuster. I was actually down there as a contractor, carpenter at that point, trying to find work back in 2008. So I know the area, and that's how I got deployed to Abilene when I first got into catastrophe work, is because I was right there in Texas. So Texas is totally amazing. There are so many adjusters, but there's so much work. There's really a ton of work there in Texas. Great place to be. I know it. You're rubbing it in. I'm so glad you know where it is. I love Texas. Love the people. They're just the best people in the world. Yeah, you're near Houston. Of course you do. And a large storm that came through. Yeah, you flooded. Oh my goodness, the crazy amount of floods. Yeah, I remember the freeze a few years ago too. I remember that. I was there for Hurricane Michael. Yeah, every couple of years you'll have a hurricane for sure. The Gulf Coast is killer. That's why they use the Texas windstorm, guys, because you'll get a job down there. Rockport was there. Say I get $150 for using my Ridge Pro. So I've been using it on anything above 712 pitch. Yes, you're right, Steve, because Alacrity does pay that. Yeah, just take a photo of it, take a picture of your rope. Actually, I'll tell you even a trick. I don't use a lot of the stuff because I've just been really comfortable climbing. But sure enough, all these roofers, they're scared to death sometimes of climbing these roofs. Well, if they're on the roof and they're using the Ridge Pro, well, guess what? Oh, Daniel's going to take a picture of that Ridge Pro and say, yep, I used safety equipment while I was climbing this roof, because sure enough, he's got it. I'm going to climb on it. I'm going to use it. So I get paid to use the safety equipment too. So yeah, there's a little trick. So don't hesitate to take a picture of that safety equipment, because some of those carriers will pay you for using that safety equipment. So a little trick there. But yeah, it's definitely a big plus when you add it up over hundreds and hundreds of claims all the year. Ladder recommendations, height, brand, style, saw you carry too. Yeah, so I have been very blessed with just using this Werner fold-up ladder. I think it goes to like 21 or 22 feet. Then I have a little small one that goes to like 9 or 10 feet. And those are the two, that's all I carry. And I fold down my seats in my Highlander. and just put them in the back. No, it's not great for kids, but right now I don't have any kids back there, so works out perfectly for me. Whenever I get to a house that is over that 22 foot, or is definitely a 2-story or a 3-story, or I just don't feel comfortable, I actually work for carriers who allow us to use ladder assist. So I just order a ladder assist, or I call up a couple roofer friends. And the only reason I call the roofer friends is potentially if the insured does not have a roofer they're using. So I might ask the roofer. So this is the process. So I get a claim in. I always look at the address and pull up a photo on Google to see what kind of roof it is. See if I can get on it. Because I want to know, I don't want to be surprised when I drive up there and I can't get on the roof. So I always Google map it, get a front view, back view, whatever, overhead view, see if there's any ports that I can climb on and do a double pull. If there's not, and I call the insured, the first question, one of the first questions I'll say is, oh, have you been working with a roofer? And if they say yes, the roofer was the one who found the damage. Well, clearly I know the roofer got on the roof. Okay, so we already know he probably got on the roof. So the one thing that I'll do is that I'll say, okay, can I get his phone number by any chance? And they'll root around for it and they'll get it to you. And then I'll set up the appointment and tell them I'll be there in a couple of days. Well, as soon as I get off the phone, I'll call the roofer and I'll say, oh, by the way, I'm insurance adjuster for so-and-so insured, and just want to let you know I'm doing an inspection on Tuesday. I don't know if you wanted to be there or not, but it appears that you have a tall enough ladder that could get us on that roof. Do you think you could bring that along with you? And he'll say, absolutely, I carry it with me all the time. Well, guess what? I just got a ladder assist for free. Save the insurance company money, save me money, so I didn't have to buy it. And I get on a ladder, get on a 2-story ladder. I don't have to carry that 2-story ladder. I don't want to carry a big ladder on my roof. So definitely a ladder assist, or the roofers can help you out. Oh, they don't come out to the Outer Banks. Oh, bummer. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad. Yes, pitch hopper, Corey, absolutely, definitely cool. A lot of roofers are carrying it now, so I just use theirs. You know what, Steve? Every adjuster in the entire country except North Carolina is working. We are the only ones that are not working. Hey, Paul, good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in forever. How you been? I see you on my Discord. Hey, plug in my Discord, guys. Look at any of my videos. There is a Discord, and Paul's on there all the time. The brother Paul, he is on the Discord, and what we do is we talk about. These guys are on it more than I am. I don't have a whole lot of time to get on it, so I don't know how you guys have all the time. But the Discord, if you go to one of my videos, not this video, I don't have it in the description, but if you go to any of my videos, there'll be like 5 or 6 links, my Twitter, Instagram, all the other junk, YouTube. And down there's the Discord. You can join the Discord. The Discord is a chat group for anybody in adjusting, whether you're brand new, whether you're experienced, whether you want some Xactimate help. That's where I shoot all my videos out that are coming out in new videos and stuff. So if you guys are looking to get into this business and you just want to listen to people talk about it, that is a tremendous group that I set up a long time ago. For all it was just for us to be able to chat about adjusting. A plethora of information. Guys, when I first started, catadjuster.org actually had a really good chat group, and it went away. And I don't know how, but it just went away, and the interest in it, I guess, failed. And they just didn't keep it up. There was another group too, I can't remember. But anyways, there was a really good chat group. So that's part of the reason I started this Discord, was I wanted people to have a place to chat, because you learn way more by talking to others, making friends on that chat group, shooting the questions back and forth, and you'll learn so much more. Also, don't forget to get my macros. My macros are there with Xactimate, meaning once you start writing estimates with Xactimate, you're going to find that you're repeating some of the same line items all the time building an estimate. So for instance, when you build a roof, you got the same things. You got the shingles off, the shingles on, the drip edge, the paper, the vent pipes, turtle vents, the HVAC vents, the satellite dishes, steep and tall, all these different things. So All of those things are built into a macro that says, hey, click one button and all those line items will drop in onto your roof. All you got to do is edit a few things, and you're writing estimates in 15 minutes for any roof and all my interiors too. So I basically set up the macros so that you could have speedy estimate writing, line items all in there, so you don't have to look up each individual one. They're kind of grouped in there into a bunch of them. So they're for sale too. There are links there as well. Also, if you guys are wanting a one-on-one call, I do consultation calls where I just talk to you specifically about your life, but where you're heading down the adjuster world. Maybe you just want specific questions to answer that fit and cater towards just you. That's what I do also. There's a link there for consultation. You can have a call with me and we can talk one-on-one as well. So commercial's over. I'm not talking about that anymore. So, all right. That was my advertising for the day. So Paul, I ignored your question, but you said, always happy to see you on live stream. Did you guys get any storms last night? Radar looked like it was headed your way. No, it went east of us, east and south of us. We got nothing, not even a drop of rain. Sure enough, tonight, they were talking about tons and tons of storms tonight. Looking on the weather, I didn't see anything. I'll have to look later and see, but nothing's coming I mean, it's like we have a big X over top of Raleigh. And it says, don't come here, storms, because we can't get anything here. So, Steve, yeah. So that's why I made a bunch of friends with roofers. So I've got literally about 5 or 6 roofers that I can call up. And what I was telling you before is that if the insured is not using a roofer, then you're kind of giving a little bit of a referral to this roofer who's going to help you get on a roof, potentially to sales pitch the insured to replacing the roof with them or them doing the repair. And I'm not getting a kickback. Okay, so here's the difference. Here's the fine line, guys. I want you to make sure. I'm not getting any money from that roofer to give him a recommendation to that insured. I'm using his ladder. Okay, not getting paid for it. Yes, I'm getting a little bit of a benefit, but I'm saving the insurance company money so I don't have to call the ladder assist. So it's not a conflict of interest if I'm receiving a non-monetary fund for the services of that roofer coming in and giving a referral to that insured. And wouldn't you rather help the insured by finding a good roofer to help them get their roof replaced than them having to go out and just shoot the dark on Google and hope they find a good person? So that's what I do with my ladder assist is, first of all, I'll ask the question, have you talked with a roofer at all? And if they have not, then I'll call up my friend if I need that 2-story ladder, and I'll say, hey, they've not talked with anyone yet about, getting the roof replaced. I don't know if we're going to be replacing the roof. So would you be willing to help me get a ladder on this roof? Absolutely. They'll say, sure, I'll do it. Absolutely. Because, their goal is to sell roofs too. They want to make money too. So it's a great thing to make friends with roofers, help you get on that roof if you don't want to carry around a big ladder. Let's see what else we got. Definitely will be hurricanes this year, Christina. No doubt at all. USA only offer $175 ladder assist fee, and the cheapest I can get for a normal inspection is $250. Always lose money on ladder assist. I might be on a ladder assist. Oh, the bill. Man, that's a bummer. Yeah, so what I would do, Juan, here's a great option for you, is to contact your manager at USAA and tell them the problem that you're having and say, listen, I shouldn't have to pay to get on the roof with these claims. And you say, hey, it's not fair that I got to put money out and do ladder assist on these things. I mean, yes, it's part of my business to get on the roof, and yes, sometimes it is, but I think you should petition to the carrier that they should start at least supplying half that money to us for ladder assist. Split the difference and pay half the ladder assist. All it can do, you got to remember, the firm wants to make you happy too. So when you're talking to the firm, they don't want you being ticked off with them or ticked off with the carrier, because guess what's going to happen? If you're ticked off and you're losing money on, you're going to leave. You're going to find another carrier that's willing to pay for that ladder assist. Well, guess what's going to happen to that firm is that all of a sudden they're going to lose a good adjuster. So they don't want to lose you working for them because they make 40% of everything USA sends them. Okay, so they may stick up for you and at least put a call into their manager and say, hey, we're getting a few calls from our adjusters and complaining of the fact that you're not paying for ladder assists or even partially paying for ladder assists. I think it might behoove you in your best interest to make our guys happy that you would give some kind of subsidy to them. So worth a call. Try it out. Never know. Never know. Workman's comp, yes, vivid. I think I talked about that earlier, but I'm glad. I think you left there for a moment, but then came back. Yeah, workman's comp is just a matter of telling people that you're interested in that specific type of insurance to each of the firms that you're on, and they will help you get directed to you if they have it. Yes, Steve, they are saying this is going to be a historical hurricane season. Absolutely. They said like 23 named storms. That's massive. Massive. We normally get like 15, maybe 18 at the max. We're talking 23 this year. And again, the reason why that is because typically if we have a very dry season, meaning the prior year is low on hurricanes, we will typically see an uptick the following year. It's happened. I've been doing this 11 years and it happens every time. Every time we even get a slow hurricane season, the next year is a boomer. And here's the thing, 2017, I had 3 hurricanes in 3 months. 3 groundbreaking, hit the ground, hit Texas twice, hit Florida in 3 months. It was the most incredible hurricane season of my life. That was the best fun. Oh, you bought the macros last year. All right, thanks, Juan. Helped me a lot, pretty much paid for themselves in the first 3 claims. Oh yeah, well, no doubt. I'm giving them away practically for free, guys. Trust me, the $49 for the macros, when I bought macros, so trust me, I bought macros when I first got started. I got 30 macros for $40. Okay? I'm giving you over 400 macros for $50. So who's giving away the farm? Trust me. Every person I give them to that has come back and told me a comment, I only had one comment. The guy said, man, I brought your macros in and they flooded my entire Xactimate with all your macros and covered all over mine. I couldn't even find my own. That was his complaint. So he was upset that I made a mess of his macros because I gave him so many, he lost all his. So all it meant was that he'd have to go in and rename his, maybe to a priority name, change the number at the front of each one, put a 1 in front of it, or whatever you want. I try, there's a mess of, there's probably 20% in those that are a mess. So yeah, they're not all perfect, but trust me, the people that have come back with comments and said, these are a game changer, they have saved my life as far as writing estimates, sped up my time a 10-fold over, I would agree because I still use them every day myself. I love them. I love them. It makes writing estimates very easy. Yes, Corey, you know it. We live on macros. Whether we've made them ourselves or bought them from somebody else, we live on it, and we can't. I don't build estimates without macros. If a hurricane hit North Carolina, that could potentially be a deployment in my backyard. Yes. Hey, we've had them before, Steve. They have hit that coast and they have made a wreck. And I don't like all the destruction. I know it's so funny. There are people, they talk about me all the time, and they, when, think about it, the news is on and people are like, oh, did you hear? There's going to be storms tonight. Oh, I'll probably save my errands and I'll stay in. Well, as soon as they tell me that, I go, really? There's a storm tonight? Oh, how bad is it going to be? Is it going to be a good one? I'm the only guy that gets so excited when the storms happen. Everybody else is like worrying about whether they need to run to the store and get some milk and bread. So I'm a strange bird. Juan, your Discord group is just as helpful as the macros. Oh my God, I've received so much help in the chat. I feel I owe everyone lunch. Oh, that's so cool. That's the first comment. You realize, Juan, you are the first comment. I don't want to say first. One of the first comments that I've heard on a live or in a video that have talked about the Discord. Now, I know, Paul, I know you'd love that too. You're on there all the time, and I know you love it too. So I'm not trying to discredit you. I love it when I get on there, and I've left several comments in there saying I'm just so happy for the fellowship that you guys have found on that Discord, because it's just a bunch of guys hanging out, enjoying the job we do, learning from each other. And see, that's the thing. I mean, we got Xactimate areas, we've got licensing questions, we got every imaginable thing, new adjuster, advanced adjuster. And so people will throw up stuff like, oh man, I can't find this line item in Xactimate. And literally, before the question goes out, there's 10 people answering it. So in 5 seconds, you can find an answer to pretty much anything you have in mind. I want to take a break for some water. Yes, Paul, I'm glad you're there because I see you posting all the time. And I'm very thankful for you too, Paul. You love venting. Yeah. It's like an AI bot. You get answers fast. Yeah, you're right, Juan. I never thought of it that way, but it's really true because you got, Paul hangs out there all the time. I think he lives there. And it seems like every time, and that, what is the other guy? Dominic? What is this? Dominus? Or I can't remember his name. He's amazing. He's got some incredible talent. There's a guy on there that's just head over heels on me. I mean, he's doing stuff I've never done. So he's a good guy. How do you feel about carriers that require a full exterior and interior inspection for all storm-related claims? Yeah, I had a couple carriers like that were saying we want every room, whether it's damaged or not. So typically, what I do, like I have one carrier now that's telling me we want exterior all around the house, and we'll make you go back if you don't take those photos. Well, here's the thing. I'll take them from the road, zoom in my camera or something like that. Here's the left, and here's the left. Here's the right, and then back. Yeah, Dominance. That's his name. Yeah. Oh, wow, Dominance. I'm Aiden on Discord. Oh, got to be Pingwing. Yep, that's right. He's right. So yeah, you're right. Dominance, man. That guy is totally like killer. I want to meet him. He's a. And you're Adan. Okay, on Discord. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm gonna look for you. Yeah, so what was I talking about? Lost my train of thought. See, it's all your fault. All your fault. I got distracted. Oh, carriers, yeah. So what happened was I started out doing a few of the exterior rooms, like the exterior things, and then I missed the back a couple times. They never made me go back. So I try my best to get the photos. I might take a picture of a fence and show a lock on the fence and say I couldn't get the back picture, just so that they don't give me a headache. As far as the interior rooms, here's the thing. I'll tell you how you get around it is you just say, you write in your file, so take a couple. So you take the living room, you snap it on your way out, take the kitchen, whatever, if you're doing it. And then you say, right below your description of all the interior damages, insured did not feel comfortable with me taking pictures throughout their house. Now, are you going, because you look at their face and they're getting, why are you taking pictures of everything in my house? So I can get the feeling right from the beginning the person does not want me to walk around their whole house, take pictures of every room in their house. They don't like it, okay? So you can write that on your GLR. Insured did not feel comfortable about me walking around their house taking photos. Boom. Just put it into your tokened GLR report. Put that in red, okay? Insured did not want me taking photos throughout the house. And so when it populates in Xactimate, that line will be in red, and you can delete it, edit it, whatever you want to do, but it'll be there for you to put in and change or delete for every house that you do that report on. And that carrier is not going to make you go back and take photos of every room after the insured has just said, or insured felt like I shouldn't be taking photos throughout their house. You can say felt. You don't have to say that they said it. You can just say, got the impression the insured did not want me taking photos throughout the whole house. You can get around it. All right, what we got? Do you know how desk examiner revisions affect your profile every time they send back a claim for your revisions? Oh, yeah, okay. It's not really a desk adjuster. This would be, if it's a desk adjuster, I don't think it matters at all. I don't think they care whatsoever. They're just trying to get clarification. As far as your file reviewer goes, so here's a trick that I learned a long time ago for file revisions. If I, when I was first learning, I would actually copy and paste. I copy and paste all the revisions that they did, put it in a notepad, and then I would strike them off each one as I completed them to make sure I got them all. Okay, so that's just a little trick I do. Put it in a notepad, refer back to it each time I'm doing the revision corrections, and just delete them as I do them. Now, if I start to see one, I was like, well, why did he say I needed paint mask square foot in this area? And then over here, he accepted paint mask linear foot, but he wants to do it on the ceiling, not the floor, you know, and just, or whatever it happens to be. I get into a point where I'm scratching my head and going, this file reviewer wants me to use this specific one. Well, you know, I might pay attention to it one time, and then I might get another one back where he's got it again. Well, I don't particularly understand it or, you know, agree with him. But if he's going to put a kickback every single time that I put it in wrong, well, I'm just going to change it. So what I do is I will put that specific thing, maybe I'll change it over into my macro and change my macro so it always does that automatically. Or I also keep a little file on my desktop, carrier notes or firm notes or whatever, and I keep a folder and I'll put each carrier and I'll put a notepad. And as each time one of these file reviewers comes back and has a little nitpicky thing, I'll add it to the list. And so right before I submit my file, I'll open up that notepad and just double check to see if there was any of those freaky little notes there that I've got somebody doing that I need to double check on. Because yes, if you keep getting the same thing back 3, 4, 5 times and you're not changing your estimate so that every single file you turn in has got that same error, then he is going to contact his manager and he's going to report you. And so that's going to come back as a ding to you. And what will happen is every quarterly review, they are reviewing the adjusters and they're going to have those little conference calls with you and say, hey, we've seen this kind of repeat thing happen. If you don't hear anything from your managers, then you're good to go. So that's what I have heard from managers that have told me, that if you don't hear from us, you're doing a great job. Don't worry about it. Okay, so that's the thing that I want you guys to know, is that if you're hearing from your managers, that's because you're doing something wrong. My managers call me just to see if I'm okay, which is kind of funny. I'll say, hey, Dan, I said, why are you calling me? And he'll laugh at me and he goes, well, you know why I'm calling you. And I said, yeah. I said, how's the family? How's the kids? You know, how's the wife and dog, whatever, you know. So, and he goes, yes, I know. He said, in my quarterly reviews, I got to call you. I got to make sure everything's okay. And I said, well, am I doing anything wrong? Anything you want to bring up? He goes, no, but I'm doing my call because I have to. So you'll hear from your managers either that way, or you'll hear from your managers where they're giving you a bunch of corrections and saying, hey, we're seeing some repeat stuff. You might want to address it so it doesn't keep happening. So that's as far as, hey, they want people that are going to do a good job. So if you're doing a decent job, they're going to keep giving you claims. You don't have to worry about it. One. The carrier is requiring all field adjusters to have a laminated badge for all claims, whether daily or CAT. We have to take the risk photo with the badge in it. Wow, is this common? I have heard of one carrier doing that, and I never did it. So, yeah, so if they do it a few times, and then see if anybody writes you back and says anything about it. Otherwise, yeah, so here's the instance. USAA, they want us to wear their stupid shirts. Well, I'm going to change a shirt after every claim. So I got 3 claims in the day, and I'm going to swap shirts just so I walk up to Mr. Admiral, whatever his name is, and use him by his military name, which is great. I think it's super to give people respect for it, but it's one of their little pet peeves of mine that I've got to call him by his last known deployment ranking or whatever. But then I got to put on a stupid USAA shirt, you know, so I don't know if they still do that, but I stopped doing USAA claims a long time ago for that reason. I was like, I'm not changing my shirt just so I can make you happy that I'm faking that I am working for USAA when I'm an independent. Okay, so I'm an independent. Now the badge thing, I think ASI or Progressive made us hold something in our wallet that was the badge. So instead of putting it on my Self, I just put it in my wallet, and I've never, ever, 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 ever been asked for it. So it's so stupid having this thing in it. Hey, they have these little quirks you can try out for a while, see what they do. There's ways around it. You got to make your job easier instead of more difficult, and they're trying to make it more difficult or trying to make it more, picky or whatever they're doing. You play around with it a little while and then back off of it a bit and see if they're still sticky with it. Maybe they tell you, hey, we didn't get that photo that was on the back like you were supposed to. And they go, oh yeah, well, the dog was in the back. I couldn't get back there. I didn't want to tell the insured that I had to bring the dog in. So there's always a way around it. I'm not trying to tell you guys to lie. I definitely don't want you guys to ever lie in making up something. But if there's a better way to say it, to get around it, that's the way I'm going to do it, because I am not going to inconvenience the insured to take every photo of their house when I know it would not make me feel comfortable in the same situation. I might explain to them. I'll actually bring the conversation up and say, my carrier wants me to take a photo of every room in the house. I'm not sure if you feel comfortable with that. And instantly they're going to say, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. Well, guess what? Now I can put that on my GLR. Insured did not feel comfortable with me taking photos throughout the house. I didn't have to say, I recommended that they don't allow me to take photos throughout the house or whatever. I don't have to say that. I'm going to have that conversation with them to make them understand that this is one of the requirements. And every single time that person is going to say, no, I don't want pictures taken all over my house. So my house is a mess. I haven't even cleaned it up, whatever their excuse is. But, you get away with it and you just save the time. Are they less strict with quirks during a cat? Oh, yes, Steve. I love cat work. Okay, so cat work is amazing. Unless you do an absolutely terrible file, you never get a file revision. Never. If you're doing a good job doing what you're doing now, and daily claims are the worst because they will nitpick you for every single thing. Every single thing. But as soon as we get a big event, I don't ever see those file revisions. There's so many. They're getting swamped. They don't have time to go over this stuff. They just push it on through and let the desk adjuster worry about it if they've got major problems with it. So cat work is the same way. I remember turning in stuff. I was doing 5 claims a day on a cat. These were big claims, $25,000, $30,000 claims. 5 of those a day, 16, 18 hours a day. I don't think I saw one file review come back. And I know I didn't write a perfect estimate, but they were so concerned. The carrier is so concerned with just being able to push it through and get a check to the insured, even if it was partial. Obviously they're going to send a partial at the beginning because it's not the recoverable part. You only get the first part. They just wanted to get a check out to the insured. So they're not going to hold this thing up with a file review for nothing. So I love cat work for that. They drop 100 claims in your lap. You don't have time for revisions. And the desk adjuster, if I'm popping out 5 per day and every other adjuster that's there is doing 3 to 5 per day, those file reviewers are swamped and they don't have time to even breathe, let alone look at your revisions. So yeah, it's totally awesome. I love cat work, and you get paid twice as much. I mean, it's really stressful. Don't get me wrong. The stress that's involved in cat work is definitely worth the reward. So if you're not a person that can deal with like the absolute insanity, pull your hair out, go nuts, ballistic, don't have time to breathe, don't have time to eat. I lose weight when I'm on a catastrophe because I don't eat. Don't have time to eat. I'll just grab something on the road and I might get 1 or 2 meals a day, and the rest of the time I don't eat. I don't eat all my junk food. I don't have time. I just constantly fill myself with water because it's hot. We're in hurricane season. It's always 90 degrees wherever you are. So typically, yeah, cat work is extremely stressful, but it's extremely profitable and invigorating when you're done. And hopefully you get cleanup, which is on the backside, whereas they tell you, hey, you did a great job. We'd like you to stay around, do some extra work. That's where you get to run around to all these different claims and take all the photos that they missed on the first run around, or adjust the estimate because they missed some stuff. That stuff pays really, really well. And you can do like 10 of those in a day. So those are pretty awesome. So yeah, so catastrophe work's awesome. And then what I do is I normally stay at the catastrophe site for a few days, if not 3 or 4 days after the event's over. Like after they say, yep, you're done, you got your last file in, you're good to go. They release you. And I stay there and just enjoy the place where I am. You know, go check out a good restaurant, treat yourself to, you know, a great meal somewhere, get some recommendations for the best beaches, whatever, you know, if there happen to be, you know, if it was only just a minor event, there's other places you can go in that state that are really nice that didn't get affected. So you just go take a trip and enjoy your time while you're there. It's the best thing. You get that. I've seen 27 states, so it's a lot of fun. All right. I give them the same speech and tell them if they're not comfortable with that, just let me know. There you go, Paul. You know it. That's exactly right. Daily claims are the worst. I have to order an ITEL report on any floor over 180 square feet. Even under the 180 square feet, they nitpick the materials. Steve, that's been something lately. You're right. I got a carrier that does ITEL on siding, does ITEL on cabinets, does siding on, or ITEL on flooring, carpet, hardwood. They want me doing ITEL on everything now. And I turned one in the other day. I took 8 pictures of the laminate floor, which is just cheap MDF garbage, you know, laminate flooring. Took 8 pictures of the flooring, all sides, and said, ITEL report not necessary, standard laminate snap lock flooring, insured agreed. That's it. I didn't even write an ITEL. I'm not spending 15 minutes with that stupid ITEL pack with a camera thing and a platform and all that thing. I got this kit that I got to use for the flooring. Takes forever. Scratch the edge, you know, take a close-up photo of it. I'm like, give me a break. And the same thing goes with the carpet. Didn't bother, no need for an ITEL on carpet. Carpet appears to be standard, builder grade, padding, builder grade, insured agreed. You know, now the cabinets you can't get away with. They got the stupid ITEL thing. Now here's what happened with the ITEL in the cabinets. It was only toe kicks. So toe kicks only on the cabinets, on the kitchen. 16 feet, linear feet of toe kick. ITEL came back $3,800 to replace the toe kick. Okay. I turned it in, spent all this time doing the stupid ITEL, and the file reviewer writes back and says, next time, just go ahead and write just ITEL overpriced, you know, get the ITEL price, but just tell them price, you know, inflated, and just write linear feet toe kicks, you know, 16 feet or whatever it was, and write that on Xactimate. They don't even want us using the ITEL for the cabinets if it's only toe kick. So you got to do it, and it takes like 15 minutes to do it while you're standing in the person's house. But they don't even use it when it comes to putting it on the estimate, because they're like, toe kick doesn't cost that much. Why are we charging $3,000 for toe kick? Anyway, so what'll happen is this will happen in cycles. It always does. They try it out for a while. They'll see that the prices are ridiculous from ITEL, or they're not really beneficial. Some risk management guy's out there crunching the numbers, and he's finding out that the average price, or the standard price for this flooring in Xactimate, is very close to the price that ITEL's coming back with. We're going to pay a fortune, so you know it costs them money to do that ITEL report every single time they send it. So the risk management guy is going to look at that, and he's going to go, carrier, we just spent $150,000 on ITEL last year, and the prices were only 1% different than the actual price that Xactimate comes up with. I think we should get rid of ITEL. And that's what will happen, is they'll come back 3 months from now, and they're saying, we're no longer using ITEL, just go back to the way we were doing it. Now, cabinets, maybe not. They'll probably stick with the cabinets for a while. I got a carrier that's been doing that for a while. But yeah, the carpet and the flooring and all this other stuff, we used to ship it off in bags, and they, you know, said they could do that. I remember doing that so many times. But then we ended up just doing standard, and everybody was happy. Nobody ever complained. And it was only the really fancy houses that you had to, you know, maybe send it off. But hey, send it off in a bag. Forget the stupid app, because they give you an option. They say, hey, I can do the app, or I can do the bag. I can do the bag. So send it off in the bag, leave the line empty on the estimate, and send it off, and then they can fill it out later. So, so I'm not going to spend my life working on this ITEL thing. Crazy. What I love about daily claims, I get to handle many claims from fire, vandalism, water, etc. You're right, Corey. I love it too. I do all sorts of fun ones. I do crazy ones. I love the people who can't cook chicken for nothing and they burn their kitchen down. This is really fun. Oh, I thought I would go to sleep while I was waiting for the oil to warm up. The last thing I knew, they'd burn the kitchen down. Love that. Love talking to those people when they talk like that. That's what I hate about daily claims, Corey Davis. More complex claims gives the reviewers more of a chance to nitpick. You're right, Steve. Do you get the sample yourself for ITEL report, or do you get the contractor to pull the sample? Yeah, I always get it myself. Hey, here's the thing. Got to remember, if the flooring is still in place and they want to pull that ITEL, you just say, no option to pull the flooring up. Didn't want to create a trip hazard for the insured. Did not pull floor for ITEL report. Appears to be a standard engineered flooring. Write it in your GLR, and if they want to call you back later and say we want an ITEL, then you call the mitigation company, you call the contractor, and you send them the UPS label by email and tell them to ship it for you. Save you a bunch of trips. But if they want to do it later, then I'll say, okay, are you going to pay me for that trip out there? Time and expense to go get that ITEL? And you write that back to your manager and you say, that's a 45-minute drive for me to go get an ITEL sample. I appreciate time and expense for that because the flooring was not available for me to tear up. I did not want to create a tripping hazard for the insured when I was first there. There was no option for me to tear the floor up. You can use that example all the time. So there's ways to get around things like that, and you want to try every opportunity you can to not cost you a ton of money to do the things that cost you time and money to do what they want. So you want to be really careful. There's always ways to get around. You know, you're not doing dishonest things. You're just doing things that make sense business to you. The last thing you want to do is spend a bunch of extra time. Like when they sit there and tell me I got to use this ITEL app on 4 different things in the house, I'm going to be there another hour doing that stupid app with 4 different samples by the time I use the app to do it. I'm not going to do that. It's not cost effective for me to spend an hour and we'll be late for another appointment. So what I'll do is I'll even write it in the GLR saying time to access the app was infringing upon another inspection, but material appears to be standard material used in every building in the subdivision as a standard building project or product. No need for ITEL sample. For one, you don't know if you have coverage, so that's why you don't pull a sample. Yeah, well, here's the thing. In that scenario, I would be taking a picture of like the damaged material, meaning there's already stains on the flooring. I can see the water that has stained that engineering flooring. I can see it buckling or peeling. So I already know the flooring is going to be replaced because I'm buying, because I'm going to write for it to be replaced. The house is over 3 years old. It probably can't be matched. Most of the carriers don't want to match it. I'm just not going to pull the sample because I don't want to create a tripping hazard for the insured. I did not have the ability to pull it. So that's where I'm going to write it in my GLR and say, did not feel comfortable pulling a section out of the flooring, did not have proper materials in order to prevent a tripping hazard for the insured. And that can be tape, that can be cardboard, that can be whatever else that you can write in the report to justify why you didn't do it. And anybody's going to read that and go, okay, I understand he had a concern for the insured. He didn't want to create a tripping hazard. Or you can even add another line. Say, hey, if the person's older, you can say, elderly person in the home did not want to create a tripping hazard. Who's going to argue with that? That's a liability issue for the insurance carrier, and you can protect the insured from falling. What carrier is going to tell you to go back and say, well, you should have pulled that? Well, really? To create a tripping hazard for the insured? You want that liability? No, they're not even going to have that conversation. So that's another thing that you can put in your notes and say, insured did not feel comfortable with me pulling a sample, or and you can ask them, do you mind if I take do you really want me to, pull out a piece of this board? And they'll give you an indication. You can say, got the impression from the insured they did not want me to take the flooring up. Okay, well, then I couldn't take it. So you just take a few photos, put your tape measure down on the board. If you've got a buckling spot, you want to get a real close up on that material to prove that it's a laminate that only has a thin little finish layer, or the discoloring you can show. You can show there's no texture on that wood. It's not like a hand scraped, which would be an upgraded product. Or if it's on a crawl space, you pull up the register. If you got floor registers, and take a photo of the inside of the register. You can see if there's glue. You can see the thickness of the material. Put tape measure up there, measure its 5/8 laminate versus 1/4 inch or 3/16. Or solid wood floor, 3/4 tongue and groove. I can see that from the inside of that register when I pull that out. So those are all little tricks you can use without having to pull the sample. I can prove what it is just by looking in the register. Now, a lot of houses today are on slab flooring. So what I would do is take a picture of the T-strip, which is at the door that transitions, the wood that transitions to vinyl flooring or tile or whatever. There's a T-strip. And everyone knows if there's a T-strip there, then that's just a basic laminate floor. And if there's big grooves in it, in the flooring, you can prove that it cannot be refinished because there's grooves in the floor or there's a texture on the floor. So you can tell that, you get away with not having to put that resand. Had a stupid, had somebody come up with me and tell me that laminate flooring, why did I not put down to refinish a laminate flooring? Because it's not solid wood. Because it's not meant to be refinished. But they have enough nerve to throw this stupid stuff back at you, and you're like, dude, it's not a sandable product. It has a 1/16 of an inch of a finish on it. We sand it once and we're down to the mid core. We're down into plywood or something like that in the middle of nothing. So, anyways, well, guys, I am hitting. Yeah, exactly, Paul. If it hasn't been pulled, don't pull it. Exactly. Very good. Well, guys, I'm going to wrap it up tonight. We're in 2 hours. I did 2 hours last time, did 2 hours a day. And I am so thankful you guys came. This has been fun. Time flies when we're having fun. And it's so good to see you guys from the Discord here. And just look forward to talking to you guys more on there. But hey, make sure you like before you leave. Don't leave without putting a little like. And we will talk about some cool things. What I'm trying to do, I think, is do maybe once a week, if it works out, or once every 2 weeks to do a live. So tell your friends, tell your brothers, tell your sisters, tell your roofers to come and join us, and we'll talk about stuff. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one, all right? Bye-bye.